childhood education, ECE, remains one of the most promising investments that any country can make. Decades of evidence indicate the positive effects that quality preschool education for 3 to 6-year-olds can have on near-term learning gains in primary school, as well as much longer-term gains beyond school. India's policies on ECE provisions are progressive and far-reaching. However, service delivery continues to be scattered, under-prioritized, and consequently ineffective. Across ECE classroom, effective learning time available is limited due to several systemic and programmatic barriers. We caught up with Shubhra Chatterji, the Director and Vice President of Vikramshila Education Resource Society, to explore some of these aspects. Shubhra, as she is known affectionately by the education community, and her organization have spent the last 3 decades working on improving service delivery of ECE in various states, piloted different models, and have contributed to critical policy documents on ECE. In this episode, we talk to her about her experiences and reflections from her work on ECE and how she sees the landscape and challenges and opportunities for India post-NEP and Nipun Bharat. Hello and a warm welcome to you, Shubhra, on this episode of Edge Talks. We're really delighted to have you with us today.
And thank you for having me with you today.
So I'll start off with the first question and wanted to understand about your experience of being part of many FLN and ECE reform efforts across the country, especially in large Indian states. It seems that when it comes to class 1, 2, and 3, some of the hygiene factors like classrooms, teachers, the availability of TLMs, and also the commitment of the states to implement the program seem to be in place. Would you agree that the same holds true for ECE as well?
Well, I partially agree with your statement and partially disagree. Let me explain. We are present in 3 large states, UP, MP, and Assam. And in all these 3 states, I see a kind of momentum around FLN. You can see things are moving. Conducive ecosystem has been set up. Certain academic, administrative, and accountability mechanisms are in place, and they are working in sync, which is very good. And effective communication channels have been established. And as a result of this, the messaging around FLN has been quite strong, and there is clarity among key stakeholders right from the top to the field about what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, and so on and so forth. This is missing when we come to ECE. Although there is an overall acceptance about the importance of early childhood education, the importance of 5 years learning continuum. But I find that there is a lot of hesitation, lack of clarity, ambiguity, and even in the states where FLN has been thriving, we don't see that kind of momentum for ECE, unfortunately.
I see this. We have a miles to go, especially in terms of ECE. So how far behind are we really on this journey, and what do we need to get to?
I think we can be optimistic. I am an optimist. So we can be optimistic about the situation. Let us not look at the deficits, but look at the bright side. We have our Government of India's flagship program, the Anganwadi system, with its 1.6 million Anganwadis, and 771 lakh children are enrolled, and we have ECE workforce, frontline workers of 24.8 lakhs, which is a big number. And it's true that the Anganwadi system is plagued by a lot of weaknesses. We need to strengthen it, but we have a very good ground to start. On the other hand, in our formal school system, if you look at the data, hardly 10% of them have a pre-primary section attached. So we have a long way to go, and the best option, I feel, is to take the Anganwadi system along while ramping up the infrastructure in the formal schools.
That's a great idea, that we must do work on both fronts, the existing school system and also the Anganwadis when it comes to ECE. We were speaking about both the pre-primary schools and also Anganwadis as an integrated solution for ECE. One of the big challenges we are confronted by is the fact that the quality of ECE delivery is limited in both of these Anganwadis and pre-primary schools by the quality of teaching time actually available. This is compounded by the fact that multiple cohorts are sitting together in the same classroom. So what are your suggestions on how does a teacher deliver a high quality program? What kind of curricular, pedagogical, administrative and monitoring changes are required to support teachers in the ECE system?
Well, let me tackle your first question about the shortage of time. Actually, on paper, Anganwadis should be running for 4 hours, and in southern states, I have heard that they run for 6 hours. So, but this is what should be happening. But in reality, we find that it's hardly 2 hours of teaching, even less. And I think if this is a mandate of the government, it should be implemented firmly, clearly, and with a lot of support. So timing constraint is, I don't believe that it is 4 hours of pre-primary is good enough, I think, to do what needs to be done. And as far as the schools are concerned, if it is a shared teacher, shared classroom, then there is a time constraint. But if it is all 4 or 5 hours of schooling and there is a dedicated classroom and a dedicated pre-primary teacher, the timing should not be. It should be actually, and that is a non-negotiable. We cannot, have it like that. For your second question about multiple age groups, again, I would say let us not take a deficit approach, but I think the Montessori method, which is a very scientific method, it is based on pedagogical principles of a mixed age classroom from 2.5 to 6. And it does very well, but it requires certain preconditions. So if we are not able to give, more teachers, and we have these 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6 age groups in one classroom, we need to have clear pedagogical framework, clear instruction design, adequate materials, certain support systems will have to be in place so that it can be run efficiently, and there is no wastage of time, there is optimal use of time. So all these factors are needed, and a lot of administrative support.
That's great. Shubhra, I want to talk to you about something I know is very close to your heart, which is teacher capacity building. And I know that you and Vikramshila have been working on this for the last 3 decades. What do you think are some of the important design principles to keep in mind when we are designing teacher training, especially for early childhood education?
Yes, you have rightly said it is something very close to my heart. And Ashtup, you will agree with me that all the teacher training programs that are designed, they are meant to bring about transformation in the classroom processes. And we devote a lot of time to skill building, information giving, knowledge building. But one aspect I feel that tends to get neglected is the attitudinal part, the belief system of the teacher. Why will the teacher change her beliefs? Why will she start teaching in a different way? She has to examine her own biases. She should be convinced about what we are talking about. And I feel that, we should adopt a more, they are not, I think, mutually exclusive. The skill building and the attitude building, they can go actually very beautifully hand in hand if our trainings are, experiential in nature. Let the teacher experience what we are talking about. The entire thing of I do, we do, you do, or anything that you do, I think it should happen in the training program also. And then they get that feeling, oh, wow. Yes, and I think our training should be very practical, focused on, if possible, train them in an actual classroom situation. This is what we do with the Anganwadis. And even for the master trainers that we trained, we made them spend 7 days on the field, just teach. Then you will know. Then unless you experience what it means, you cannot be a good, you cannot bring about that kind of transformation that we are looking at.
No, I loved your idea of making training more experiential and especially applying this I do, we do, and you do, this gradual release of responsibility to teacher training, which often doesn't happen. And I know it can make a very big difference if teachers are really involved in the training process and are also applying it, like you said, to the classroom context.
And I would like to add something here. Again, in today's talk, I have been reiterating about the importance of not to take a deficit approach, a deficit view, about the Anganwadi worker, because I work a lot with the Anganwadi system. I feel that, we tend to take a deficit view, low education qualification, low motivation, low ability, and hence let us do something very basic. I don't believe in it. Let us start from the strength of the Anganwadi worker. The Anganwadi worker has some inherent strengths. She's closer to the children, the child's social, cultural context, speaks the child's language. So when we talk of multilingual situation, I think the Anganwadi workers is better poised than the formal teacher who may not speak the child's language. And there I see a lot of synergy that can happen between the school and the Anganwadi. That is one. And so build on the strength of the Anganwadi worker. She has a lot of soft skills. She comes from a nurturing care framework background. So an instinctive understanding, a more holistic approach to, child development. And so you give her the right pedagogical inputs, the right pedagogical skills. And you see, and we have seen this happen. So I think we should adopt this approach and not water down or dilute trainings. I believe in maintaining standards and we should strive for that.
Apart from working as a practitioner, you've also been informing policy at all levels, both the national and state levels. As you know, the national ECE policy, the Nipun Bharat mission and NEP, all of them have emphasized that quality early childhood education is a must. And following that, as you know, many states have also taken up a lot of efforts in provisioning for high quality ECE in terms of both Anganwadis and also pre-primary schools. And I know that you work closely with many such states. Could you share some good examples of best practices which you think you are seeing across states? And especially, what do you think are some of the ones that have a pathway to scale?
Well, I look at myself as a policy enactor. Someone implementing the policy, on the policy, if you talk of policies. And three states, very distinct, come to my mind. One is West Bengal. The ECE national curriculum was developed in 2013 and the state took some initiatives. I really like the way the state took up the scaling path. It was done and now, over a period of 10 years, they have slowly ramped it up. The Anganwadis, there are 70,000 model Anganwadis, scaled up over a period of 10 years. And why has it taken so long? Because they are doing it kind of in a synchronized manner. First, the building, refurbishment, then training of the Anganwadi worker, then each Anganwadi worker gets a teacher guide, detailed guide, and a kit. All these four things together, only then it is called a model Anganwadi, which has been called Shishu Alloy. So there are 70,000 Shishu Alloys. It has taken long, but I think this is a good way to go. So they did some kind of, experiments with scale up and how it works and all that. The slow but steady path has been, in my mind, a good practice. The second state, of course, is UP. The state, there is already a lot of traction around FLN, and one thing I have noticed is that there is some clarity about what they want to do and what they don't want to do. For example, for now the state has taken a decision that the balvatika class will be with Anganwadis, because the state with its huge number of primary schools is not in a position to start new pre-primary sections. So they have decided to strengthen the Anganwadis. It's a very good effort. So under Kaya Kalp 2, they have taken up refurbishment of I think they will take up 545 have been taken up. They will slowly, add more numbers. So this is one good initiative, and I think child-friendly furniture and child-friendly kit was given by the education department, and then a joint training pool was created by WCD and the state education department, and 1,80,000 Anganwadi workers were trained by this joint pool. So all of these, I feel, are excellent examples. Third state is Rajasthan. It was quite, I was very happy to be involved in that state, and Rajasthan, I believe, is a state that has received the highest ECE allocation in its budget, and its NEP also has been pretty much on track. There is a certain traction there, and this year, there's a good model. I don't see the numbers are great, but 1,090, they have developed a balvatika curriculum, and when the NCF came up, they were very quick in, adapting themselves to NCF 2022. And then a balvatika curriculum has been developed, and 1,090 balvatikas are being opened, and they have given dedicated teachers. They have a cadre called NTTs, the nursery trained teachers. And so there will be dedicated classroom, dedicated teacher, and a curriculum. So that's a good start. And then 40,000 co-located Anganwadis have been given excellent preschool kit and training. And the other good practice that I have seen in Rajasthan is they have appointed a mentor teacher. Actually, the departmental convergence in Rajasthan has been pretty good, and it has been one of the role models. From 2015, it had started, the convergence between WCD and the school education. And they have appointed mentor teachers in all the primary schools, and a joint training of the Anganwadi workers and mentor teachers were given. I think these are all very good initiatives, and they are also developed a robust monitoring app. So the pieces are in place, they are on the right track, and one has to see. I think these are good examples that can be replicated. I'm sure more things are happening in the southern states, but since we are not present so much, so I'm not able to give examples. But these are the 3 examples that came to my mind. And of course, other states like Assam, they're also doing very good work.
Well, those are great examples, and it gives so much hope that even in a complex, difficult to manage, large system, if there is sufficient political will, if there is the right resources are present, and there is enough amount of follow through, we can see good practices scale up. So that's very, very heartening.
Yeah.
What is your vision for ECE in India? What are some of the key enablers that we need, the levers that we need to pull so as to make the vision of NEP to make universal early childhood education a reality by 2030?
My vision for early childhood education is that the Anganwadi system, as I have been talking about, it has got its strengths, it has got the numbers, it has been plagued by, underinvestment over a period of time. I think adequate budgetary allocation to strengthen the Anganwadi system, a greater convergence between the 2 departments, school education and WCD. Number 3 is again the Anganwadi. There are 1.6 million Anganwadis. They have to be rebranded and repositioned. They are now known, unfortunately, as khichdi centers. They need to get out of that and repositioned in the eyes of the public, or and actually as vibrant spaces where high quality early childhood education is given. That is my third dream or vision, if you call me. We need a very strong ECCE workforce, trained teacher educators and teachers and Anganwadi workers, whoever is in the ECCE space. We need a qualified cadre, which is not there. It has to be really built up and strengthened. Capacity building has to be done in a sustained manner. A robust curriculum. I am not saying standardized, One of the things it talked about the return on investment, the lifelong gains of ECE, but it cannot happen unless we have a good curriculum to back it up. It just cannot happen in any kind of ECE. It has to be good quality. So that has to be established. And I think the kind of ecosystem that we find around FLN to be created around ECE too in the coming years. That will itself, I think, put things on track.
Those are excellent dreams, and not just dreams, but they're very practical enablers that we can all work towards. And thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom with us today. I certainly learned a lot, and I hope our viewers will. And again, thank you for giving us time and all your wisdom. I look forward to working with you closely.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. It has been a real pleasure to interact with you. And I think we were in agreement with most of the things. And I hope that, we can really take things forward.
Thank you. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Do join us again next time for another exciting edition as we meet with experts from the education sector who are creating solutions to ensure better access to education for all children. We would love to hear from you. Don't forget to leave your suggestions or thoughts in the comment section, and do like and subscribe to our YouTube page for more such content.